Well, I get so excited that I forget things. So, this Genesis 4 addendum, let's open up to the scriptures again. And mhm, there we go. Transition it. Um, so, we are at Genesis 5. Let me flip through. Oh, my Bible app froze. There we go. The mouse isn't working. There we go. So, this is actually Genesis 5, but it is the end of the story told in Genesis 4. So, all of this is the book of the generations of Adam. Excuse me. In the day that God created man, in the likeness of he, God made he him. So now this is the place where the likeness is mentioned. He's creating man in his image and likeness. So Christ is the image, his bride is like him, and the story told how he had to die in order to make his bride to be like him, and they restored worship. Then men began to call upon the name of the Lord. See, they restored worship in the resurrection of Christ, okay, which is Seth replacing Abel. Anyway, I just want to point out to you that this is the book of the generations of Adam. Remember the Toledoth we spoke about earlier. This is the clay tablet written by Adam. So everything prior to this is eyewitnessed by Adam. Okay. And when was it done? In the day that God created man in his image and likeness. This is a singular day. Now, we have been told that day also can mean eons. Well, it can, or lots of a period of time, or whatever it is. Okay. But the emphasis here, if we read it literally, is we have to change the meaning to mean something other than a literal day. But when we read it in the hidden meaning, what we see is that all of this happened in a day. So remember at the end of Genesis 1, start of Genesis 2, it said all this happened in the day God created the heavens and the earth. Singular day, we had 7 days. This is the book of the generations of Adam in the day, singular, that God created man in his likeness, in the of God made, and in his likeness, God made him. Okay. So, um, what we have now is a second confirmation that this is a recapitulation of day 6, which was part of day 1. Okay. And I should be saying this more properly. The 6th day, which was part of day 1. We're still in day 1 because there is only one day. This is the day of salvation. Choose you this day whom you will serve. There is only one day. Time is an illusion, it is an artifact of the fall to remind us of um, the consequences of sin. Okay. So he made them male and female. He created he them. Okay, if there's any question on how many genders you have, right there. And he blessed them and called their name Adam. In the day when they were created, they were called man. Male and female were called Adam. And so we see that the woman from the beginning was a part of Adam. Well, if Adam represents Christ, then the church from the beginning was a part of Christ. How can you say that? Church didn't come into existence until the cross. No, the bride was chosen before the foundations of the earth. Okay. The church exists long before the people of the church exist. Okay. He chose us before he even created us. That's how much he loves us. His plan included us from the beginning. So um, we are a part of Christ from before the beginning. And now we are, as the alphabet says, we are distinguished as the bride when we understand. So he teaches us, we understand, we respond in love to understanding what he's done for us, and now we are exposed as the bride. But we have been the hidden bride ever since before the foundations. And this is the main tension between the apostles and Paul, who was called to be an apostle after the resurrection. When Jesus taught the apostles, he was teaching them about the cross, the things which were shortly to come to pass. When he taught Paul, it was after the cross, so he was teaching Paul about the bride. The early apostles did not understand the bride initially. And so when Paul came in and says, oh, the Gentiles are supposed to come into the church as well, he was doing that from the scriptures, showing that the bride had two parts to it, both Israel and the Gentiles. And so he had to teach them from the Old Testament of the existence of the bride. And when they finally understood, they said, yeah, okay, well, we're still trying to reproduce what Jesus taught us. He taught us this for a reason. We're trying to reproduce that Sermon on the Road to Emmaus through our studies. And so they went about for the next 60 years writing, teaching about what Christ had taught them from the Old Testament. So the Gospels then are a record of them trying to reproduce that sermon on the road to Emmaus as they study. And so they are in the order of Mark, Matthew, Luke, and John with 10 to 15 years between them. And those are snapshots of their understanding and their memory of what Jesus taught. So there are differences because they learned to handle the mystery, the hidden riddles, better with time. John understood it the best, which is why he has some of the most esoteric writings amongst them. Okay. Um, so uh, the we'll go on and do chapter 5 then